everybody. Oh, it's 10 o'clock straight up. We're so good. I have kind of a cool thing to do today. Last week, after the Get Organized Challenge, or through the process, Karen said people were asking about what this crazy thing is. This is a big bite. It's made by We Are. It's the big version of a crocodile. If you don't have a crocodile, this is a crocodile. So this is an eyelet setter and hole puncher that goes, the holes punches go a little bit deep, but not super deep. And this guy, the crocodile, is designed so you can punch holes all the way into the middle of a 12 by 12 piece of paper. So here's the cool thing. My good friend Chastity at We Are, I told her that you guys were asking about the crocodile, what that was, I mean the big bite, after last week's GOC, and she said, why don't you give one away next week? And I said, that will be so much fun. So at the end of class today, we're going to give one of those away. And I'm not really sure how we're going to do that, but I know Karen will come up with some amazing way for us to make that happen. So I'm sure Karen's tuned in downstairs thinking, oh my gosh, why does she do this to me? I like to keep you on your toes, Karen. So here we go. Let's get started with Get Organized Challenge number 2, which is Be a Paper Sorting Powerhouse. I got to take off my scarf because all of a sudden it's really warm in here. That might have something to do with being 52. All right. What I didn't talk about last week, kind of silly, how the Get Organized Challenge works. So if you're new to the Get Organized Challenge, welcome. What's going to happen is I'm going to talk. There's going to be a little pop-up box on your screen that where you can ask questions. If you have a question, type the word question in all caps, and Karen will watch for those questions and answer them. Anything she can't answer by the end of class, she will bring upstairs to me and I will answer them at the very end of class. Now, depending on where you are, you might be anywhere from like a 2 or 3 second delay all the way up to like a minute or a minute and a half delay. So if we get to the very end and you're asking questions and nobody's responding, it's probably because we're signed off from here. At that point, you can absolutely reach out to us either via customer service at totally-tiffany.com or by using the Get Organized Challenge Facebook group. The Facebook group is probably the fastest way to get an answer because the members of the group, 16,000 of them, most of them know the answer, and so someone else can pop in and help you with whatever question pretty quickly. Progress posts. Didn't talk about this last week. At the end of each week, if you put up a progress post, what you've done, you do not have to complete the challenge in order to be part of the progress post competition. You just have to put up a post that says, I'm working, this is what I got done this week, right? It can be something super tiny or it can be the entire challenge. Put up the progress post on the Facebook group or email the progress post to us, and then your name goes into a drawing and we draw winners each week to get a gift certificate for the website. So you don't want to miss out on that. Whether you do a little or you do a lot, you need to put up a progress post. Oh, and then the workbook handout is available on our Get Organized Challenge page on our website and also right here on live stream if that's where you're watching from. All right, I think I covered all the basics. So let's get right into it with this week's winner. And so we have 3 winners this week. And that's because Karen's crazy, and sometimes she reads something and she thinks this person deserves a prize. So we have a bonus winner, number 3. Our first winner, Laura Smalley Wall. And, oh no, sorry, I'm lying. That's winner number 3, so I'm just going to backtrack. First winner, Progress Post winner, Marilee McKelvey. And she has done the challenge before, but now she is moving, and so she is got 2 challenges going where she is doing the GOC and what she calls the HGOC, the House Get Organized Challenge, because they're getting their house ready to sell. And the interesting thing about this post, and you can see it on Facebook, Karen, if you can highlight it, that would be great, is that she's just taking the ideas and the strategies that we use for our craft supplies, and she's applying them to organizing her house. So I hope that you will continue, Marilee, to post up and tell us how you're doing on both challenges, because that's really exciting. Second winner is Karen Woolley Duckworth, and she says, this is probably the third time I've started. I've gotten a lot accomplished. However, I always fall short of finishing. I'm forgiving myself and moving on. Have my themes list, big benefits, organized only space, and purge box. I have designated where I'm donating it, and I'm ready. So the cool thing here is that it does sometimes take multiple times joining us for the challenge, right? You can drop in for a whole challenge. You can drop in for one class that you need to move forward on a particular thing, but don't be freaked out that you're not getting everything done through this first 8-week challenge. It sometimes takes multiple challenges, and certain people, going back to the brain thing, certain people get overwhelmed by certain things. So we had one gal who's taken the challenge like 6 times, and just the idea of organizing her photos shut her down. So every time we got to the photo organizing challenge, she would just bail on the whole thing, right? Well, finally, time number 7, she committed to doing it and pushed her way through to get her photos organized. So much, as we've mentioned before, happens in your head, right? So keep coming back, do a little at a time, and eventually you'll get there, but you'll be picking up great skills and strategies along the way so that you can be a little bit more organized just regularly as you're bringing things into your craft room. Okay, now out of order on my thing. Third winner this week, Laura Smalley Wall. Laura's mother is moving in with her, and she has a lot of stuff. And Laura and her mom and friends were at a crop, and at the crop, somebody else was doing the Get Organized Challenge, and they were talking about it. And every time something came up, they would say, Tiffany says, well, Laura's mom does not want to get rid of anything. She's having trouble purging. Well, she's not having trouble purging. She just doesn't want to purge, I guess. So they, I guess, were trying to encourage her. And so eventually the mom said, who is this terrible Tiffany? I am sick of hearing her name, right? So it was just funny and very entertaining. So thanks for the chuckle, Laura. Karen's got a prize on the way to you for sending in your funny story. Okay. Also, if you're someone who's done multiple challenges and you're kind of working ahead, there's been a bunch of confusion on the Facebook group about who's supposed to be doing what and what this week's goals are, and people are getting confused because people who are working ahead are working on previous challenges. I'm not sure what the answer is, because we want you to use the Facebook group to answer questions and share what you're doing. But keep in mind that if you're working on this week's challenge and somebody's talking about something they're doing ahead, it can be a bit confusing. So I'm not sure what the solution is there. Just to be mindful of it, and maybe you could start your post with, I'm working on challenge 5 or something. I don't know. Karen might have some good solutions since she does a lot of interacting, but there is a lot of confusion. Also, there was a lot of comments about the widget. What did you do today? Notebook. And another kind of chuckle, someone was calling it the why did you do that notebook. So just for fun, if you're using your widget notebook, hopefully you are making quick notes every night about what you did. And then I had a post come up about the widget notebook. And if you don't know what it is, or you missed last week, there's a blog post about it, and maybe Karen can get a link up. There's probably a link actually on our Get Organized Challenge page. But someone emailed in and said that Dr. Oz did a similar thing, but at the end of the month, there's like a recap of a couple of statements, like what did you do this month, where you can just kind of pare it down. You know, I got 20% of my goal done, or I got these major things done in my goal, or whatever it is, to kind of sum up the month and then move on to the next month. And I thought that was a great idea. I'm going to give it a shot. All right. Our goal this week are our words of wisdom. Start small, start immediately, right? Don't put it off, and don't take on anything major and crazy. Just start small and get started. So, what are we going to talk about? How to sort paper this week. We're going to talk about the mental process and the physical process, and I'm even going to do a little demo of the physical process. So when we're talking about organizing paper, we don't use the 4 sections, we only use 3 because alphabets and numbers is not traditionally a paper category, right? If you have, a sheet of alphabet stickers or alphabet brads or chipboard or whatever it is, those are going to go in your alphanumeric section, but there's not really sheets of paper that are alphabet, with the exception of papers that might be kind of school themed or whatever that have ABCs on them. I don't know, but those are going to go in school or September, depending on how you think about that. So only 3 sections: themes, calendar year, and the rainbow. Themes and calendar year are pretty easy for people to get their brains around, right? So themes and sentiments are things like beach, birthday, bath time, camping, sports, and then calendar year is going to be your holiday and seasonal materials that just go January to December. Now, you can organize your calendar year by season: winter, spring, summer, fall. You can do it by month, or you can do it by a combination of those 2 things. So if you looked at my scrap rack, I have a combination of things. First part of the year, January to June, not a lot goes on, so that's just labeled January to June. And then I have a tab called summer, which is basically July and August kind of things, and also a little bit funny because I live in the Pacific Northwest and there's years when we don't have summer, but I do have that category. And then the fall months are broken down by month because there's more that happens in each one of those months. September's back to school, October, November, Halloween, Thanksgiving, and then obviously Christmas and winter in December. So even though most of technically winter is not in December, it starts the 20th or 22nd or whatever it is of December and goes through March, I think of winter as December, so all of my winter things are in the December calendar. The important thing about choosing how you're going to organize, whether you're going to go month to month or holidays or seasons, is how do you think about it? That's where you want to be able to find those items. So if you think December is winter, snowmen, snowflakes, blah, 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 then you can put all that in December, even though it's technically very little of December is winter. All right, so what presents the biggest challenge? The rainbow is the biggest challenge for people. So we get hung up on the rainbow and the perfection of the rainbow, and there is no perfect rainbow, no perfect way to do the rainbow, right? There are so many colors and so many sizes of paper, and paper comes printed on both sides, and paper has multiple colors in it. How do you categorize all of that? So first of all, know that perfect is the enemy of good, and what you're after is a good solid system that you can depend on. So for those of us who have those OCD tendencies where we want everything to be perfect, this is really a challenge of, how do I settle for what's good and what's going to work? So the beautiful thing about getting your paper organized is once it's organized and preferably vertical, even if something's in the wrong place, it's going to be easy for you to find and easy for you to see because you'll be able to thumb through everything quickly and easily. So keep that in mind as we go through. So let's talk about multicolored papers. The general rule of thumb is go with the dominant color in the paper, right? So if you have a floral paper that has pink and red and orange flowers on it, but the dominant color is pink, I'm going to put it in the pink section, right? And I'm going to organize my sections light to dark, and then prints and patterns in the back. And I tend to group mine together. So it would be light to dark solids, followed by dots, plaids, stripes. I have distressed, I have florals, so that when I go to pink, I can, or pink and red are together for me, I can just thumb through that pink and red category, and I can see as I'm flipping through all those colors of floral print papers right in there, or distressed, or whatever it is, right? So go with the dominant color. If it's double-sided paper, you're going to want to go with the color that you like the best, that you're more likely to use. We're going to talk about kits and all that stuff coming up. So if you buy, I know some of you work with color families where you're going to keep everything together for that color family with, I think it's close to my heart, or Stampin' Up! That uses those categories. All right. If you have a paper that, if you just can't decide, it is okay to have at the back of your rainbow section of your paper storage system a rainbow section where you just have, you know, things that have too many colors or nothing dominant, or you can't choose, where you just put those all together, because again, you're going to be able to thumb through them. It's not ideal, but if you can't work it into a color section, I want everyone to think about how much paper they have. This tends to be a category where we all have a little bit more than we possibly need. So if you think about your paper stash, if you had a little bit of time to craft every day for the rest of your life, would you use up all the paper that you've got now, right? So don't get worried about having it in the wrong place, because the odds are, just getting it sorted, you're going to be able to find a great paper for whatever your project is within that category where it ended up. So, and you can always move things around. So if you find a piece of paper that you think, oh, why did I put this in purple? It really belongs in red. You can pull it out and move it to the red section. So there's no hard, fast rules there. Let's talk about the rainbow. What does that entail? Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Those are the colors of the rainbow. But as crafters, we have black and white, and we have browns and neutrals, and we have metallics. So you're going to want to add those colors to your rainbow if those are colors that you use, right? So most of us use black and white. I love neutrals, so I have a big neutral section, and then also metallics, and that's going to go for paper as well as embellishment. So you need to add those colors to your rainbow because they don't exist in the Roy G. Biv reality. Now, one of the questions I get from people is, how do you put things in color order? And again, there is no perfect, I mean, there probably is a perfect. Most of us don't have time to pull out our color wheel and follow the color wheel for each individual shade of every color that we've got. So try to just go light to dark, right? So, and when you're talking about something like pink and red, those can be together. Red and pink can be together. Start with light pink and go all the way to dark red. You can put yellow and orange together if you want to fade from, you know, pale yellow into orange. Any of those kind of things. Color is super visual, so it's easy to see where those transitions occur in your color wheel or your colors stash. But light to dark is definitely what I would recommend. Remember, the biggest goal here is to be able to find things that you need when you need them. So there are a few exceptions for organizing your paper. One of them is what we call keep together what you're going to use together. So if you went out and bought pink floral paper for your daughter's ballet ballet pages, and they match the other ballet embellishments that you bought to do those ballet pages, you want to keep that pink paper with everything else in the ballet section. After you do the ballet pages and you have extra pink floral paper, at that point you can move it on over into your pink section. But if you bought something specifically to go together, you want to remember that that's what it was for, and you want to use it together. Especially when it's completely specific, right? So if you bought SeaWorld paper, right? SeaWorld paper is only going to be used on a SeaWorld project. So there's no reason to put it into your blue category or into your amusement park category or wherever it would end up. It's going to be specific to go with all of those SeaWorld embellishments. So when things are completely specific and they're going to be used with something else specific, you want to keep them together so that when you actually do that project, it's all together. This is just a little reminder on my screen to reiterate the fact that if you mess this up and you file a few papers in the wrong category, whether it's color or theme or sentiment, it's not that big a deal. You have plenty of paper, and you're going to be constantly flipping through and seeing what you've got when everything's organized, so it's easy to pull things out and rearrange them. So one of the things that happens with our brains in paper sorting is we shut down because we're making too big of a deal of how to sort that paper or where it belongs. So if, as you're sorting paper, if it's taking you more than a snap to choose where that paper is going to go, it's probably time to take a break. Be aware, probably time to take a break and walk away from what you're doing, right? It's not the cure for cancer. It doesn't have to be perfect. So just move through each thing quickly. Go with your gut when you're making these decisions, and you'll be fine, and your paper will be organized, and you'll be spending your time scrapping or card making or building beautiful mixed media projects and not spending your time looking for things. All right, kits and stacks. What do you do? If you subscribe to some sort of kit club, whoops, I have something stuck underneath there, some sort of kit club, and you're getting cool things in the mail, what do you do with those things? So this is kind of our ease into cataloging, because what you're going to do is catalog those kits in with your 4-section system. So if you got a kit called Summer Fun, inside that Summer Fun kit there's a flyer or a full color brochure or something that shows all the pieces of the kit, right? Use the brochure to put into your 4-section system under Summer, and leave all the kit pieces together. But see how I've numbered these? Summer Fun is 101, whatever, Celebrate, Adventure, right? There's 3 kits. I've got a representation of each one of those kits in the right category in my 4-section system. When I'm working on summer pages, I'm going to see that reminder, oh, you have the Summer Fun kit. It's box number 101. I'm going to just go to the shelf and pull that box off the shelf, use the things that are in the box, and then put the box back on the shelf back in order, right? So if you have things like this, the goal is not to reinvent the wheel and take everything apart and reorganize it into different storage containers. The goal is to make it as simple as possible to find what you need when you need it. So think along those lines. How can I add an impression or a representation or a reminder of the things that I have somewhere else into my 4-section system so that I can get them when I need them? Now, after you've done some work with your kits, you might only have a couple of pieces of Summer Fun left. At that point, those can go into your scrap rack or whatever tool you're using, and you can get rid of the box, right? But remember, keep things together you use together. So until you wear down that kit, you want to keep all the pieces together, but you still want it to be easy for you to find what you need. What about stacks? Oh, paper pads. Oh my gosh, right? Paper pads. Awesome deal on tons of paper. And why do you have that paper pad? I'm going to guess the reason you probably have a paper pad, if you didn't specifically go into a store thinking, I need to buy 48 sheets of Valentine paper, the reason you probably have that paper pad is because you went into one of the big box stores with your 40 off coupon, and whatever you were in there to buy was already on sale, and you couldn't use your 40 off coupon. And then you thought, well, what can I use this on? Which is exactly what they want you to do, right? And so then you go, oh, I'm going to buy this Valentine's paper. It's so cute. And it's normally $20, and it's only going to be 12 bucks. Okay, great. That's great. So I'm going to get the savings. I'm going to get the Valentine's paper. So here's an example. I bought this for $20 in 2013. Ooh. How much value did I get out of that? Look at all the paper I still have in there, right? So I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying I want you to think about what you're buying in terms of where are you going to store it and how are you going to use it, right? So if money is no object and you can afford to buy every paper pad on the planet, that's great. But if you have to dig through every paper pad on the planet to find one sheet of paper that you need, having all that isn't doing you any good. It's just slowing you down and taking up space in your craft room, right? Most of us don't have unlimited funds to spend on crafting, so we need to be smarter about how we are spending that money, and we need to buy things that we're using. So unless you're doing an entire album of Valentine's pages, or you're going to use this cardstock to make this year's Valentine's cards, it might not be the best investment. So I want you to just think about that. I want you to shop with intention and think to yourself, take a breath and say, where am I going to store that and how am I going to use it? And let your brain kick in and slow everything down So you can determine that, yeah, that's a great purchase or it's not. So how do I solve this problem for myself? Because I also go in with my 40 off coupon, and I like to use my 40 off coupon. You feel like you have to do that. So if it's not what I needed or not what I need in the store or what I'm buying is on sale, I use my 40 off coupon to buy a bag of peanut M&Ms on my way out the door. So keep that in mind. Get yourself a little treat. Reward yourself for not buying something that you didn't need or that you're probably not going to use by getting a little treat at the register. All right. Or maybe a magazine instead. Can you use the 40 off on magazine? I know they have some kind of restrictions, but if you get a magazine with ideas in it, then you're going to be in great shape. Speaking of that, little side note, there's a magazine out called Creative Scrapbooker. It comes out of Canada. The women who own it are awesome. I talked with them again while I was at the Creativation show this weekend, and I have 3 issues of Creative Scrapbooker to give away. I'm probably going to give them away next week because they're still packed up. But if you're unfamiliar with the magazine, Creative Scrapbooker, you should check it out, and I'll share the magazines with you probably on the Facebook group, but I'm going to give them away next week. So Karen, get your wits about you on that. Okay, sorry for the tangent. So, but if you have stacks, paper stacks, what are you going to do with them, right? They're all stacked up in your closet, and you're probably not using them because you have to dig down through the stacks to find them. You just want to take them vertically like this and put them on your paper shelf and just use a little label tab to tell you what they are. So these are both holiday. This one's Valentine's and this is all holidays. So these are going to go right on my paper shelf with the rest of my holiday and seasonal papers. Valentine's Day, I'm not going to fit it. I'm not going to stuff it in the paper storage box in February. I'm just going to put it right next to that box with the tab, right? So I'm going to see it when I'm ready to use it, but I don't need to take up a whole paper store, or a third of a paper storage box with the whole paper stack. So get your paper stacks vertical and just get some labels on the edge of them with what they are. So when you're looking down your paper, your sorted paper, you're going to see them, you're going to remember them, and they're really easy to pull off the shelf because they're vertical instead of all stacked up. All right, kits and stacks. What's next on my list? Click away. Okay, the physical process of sorting paper. Oh, here we go. This is it. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. Okay, I'm going to clean up my little mess here. The first thing you need to do, I'm going to strongly recommend that when you sort your paper, you go vertical to do it because it's going to take up far less space. And one of the things that happens is we start an organizing project and it makes a mess all over the house or the living room or dining room, and then something happens where we have to clean it up, and so we have to start all over. So if you can sort vertically, you're going to be in great shape in a small area, easy to pull it out and easy to put it back without disturbing the work that you've done getting organized. So if you can't sort vertically, you're going to need to make some sorting guides like these. So I just use, this one says summer, fall. Now this paper is, I was trying to get to a theme, but I guess I don't have one in here. This paper is 12 by 18, came from the dollar store, right? So you can segment it off. So you've got 12 by 12 on this side, and then the theme or category on this side. And that way you can set the sorting templates down, lay them out, and you can sort onto that 12 by 12 space on the sorting template as you go around. So if you're not sorting vertically, you're going to go with the sorting template, something like this, to sort your things into piles and then put them into your paper storage system or tool, whatever you're using. So I'm going to take just a small, like, aside for a minute and talk about what you can use. So obviously there are things like paper storage boxes, right? We make a couple of different ones. This is called our Paper Junkie paper storage box. This is called the paper handler. I'm going to talk a little bit more about these after class. This is the 12 by 12 fab file, which could possibly be out of stock in this moment, but it's on its way back. Oh, it might actually be arriving tomorrow. So if those are out of stock, I think they're coming right back. Or you can use 12 by 12 file folders. You can use giant Ziploc bags. You can use a little flat pack storage box like this. It doesn't matter the tool that you're using. Some of them are much easier to work with than others, but depending on the space that you have and how you craft and what you have to invest in your storage tools, any one of those things will work when you're organizing into the 4-section system, 3 sections with color. So let's talk about going vertical. When you're going to go vertical, first thing you're going to do is start with your themes and sentiments list, which you created last week, right? Or over this last week. And then you are going to make some sorting dividers. So I used our paper storage box dividers, and this is just a representative set, but these would be the categories. So animals, beach, camping, football. I don't know what F is actually, because there's S, which I actually use for sports, and then T for travel, right? So based on your list here, family and faith, that's what F is. You're going to create tabs that you can sort by. Now, I have upside down, faith, family, farm, fishing, football, friends, all in F, right? So I don't have an individual tab for each one of those things. And I'm going to move football behind the S tab for sports, right? So what I'm going to do as I'm sorting, I'm starting with major tabs. I'm not going to create a divider for everything on my themes and sentiments list. I'm going to sort them, themes through the alphabet, and then calendar year and the rainbow into major groups. And as I go through the sorting process, I'm going to add a sticky note. Okay, this is family, this is faith, and I'm going to drop that in to behind the F tab, and then the next family I find, I'm going to have it kind of subdivided. There's family, there's faith, sports, I'm going to do the same thing. Football, basketball, baseball, little sticky note as I come across those things. So I'm just going to use, these are called Shut Your Flap tabs. They're plastic sticky notes. The nice thing about them is, unlike paper, if you have a paper sticky note and it gets bent over, it won't pop back up, but the plastic sticky notes do, so I'd recommend using those. And then I'm going to start sorting. Now, even if I have 5 feet of paper, you don't have to use dividers like I've got. These dividers are just made out of sheets of chipboard. Well, that one's not a divider, but they're just sheets of chipboard, and I just use this stick-on labeling tab from the office supply store to create those. Those are my very first ones. You could just use a sticky note also to create those, and you don't even have to use chipboard. You can just use an old piece of cardstock. This is one of my first sorting templates, but I could use this with a sticky note, right? This is section A, B, C, and organize it back that way. If you're using cardstock and you have the card, you want to put the long end up. So if it has the little tab on it that gives the manufacturer's details, you want to have that long end up so it sticks up above paper, and then you want to sort with the tab out this way so it drops down below that. I hope that makes sense. So it's a little bit confusing. All right, so I'm going to start with one box. I'm going to grab my stack of paper, and I believe our goal this week is to sort 8 inches of paper this week. I'm going to set these aside for a second. And then all I'm going to do is go through my pile and go, okay, this is beach paper. My pile's already sorted, but this is beach paper. So I'm going to go to the B tab. I'm going to drop that behind, right? I'm going to be aware, again, that that edge of the paper, that makes it the longer edge, goes out to the side so that everything stays level at the top, right? So these are all my beach papers. At this point, I'm going to take one of my sticky notes and I'm going to write beach on it, and I'm going to stick it on the front of the beach paper. So now if I come across more beach paper, I can shortcut right to that beach paper and drop it in. Let's see. What am I going to find? Oh, beach paper. So this is, oh no, this is birthday. Of course. So this is a, what is it called? It's called a paper pocket. It has a little tab at the end. So if you have papers that you want to protect for some reason, I'm going to go to the very back behind beach and start my birthday section. you can use a paper storage or a paper pocket like that, right? So here's another birthday. This is a birthday collection. I've got everything together. This is called a collection keeper. It's going to go right into the birthday section. I'll talk a little bit about product at the end. This is an entire collection of birthday paper from Basic Gray called Life of the Party. 18 sheets of paper all together. I just put them in a supersized single pocket so that I could keep that whole collection together. So if you have something where you have multiple sheets of paper and you want to keep them all together, you can just put them into a supersized single, or you can put them into a paper pocket, and then you're going to have that whole collection together. But you're just going to work through your pile of paper, sorting it into each category. So this is all camping. So I'm going to go to C, and I'm going to put that in camping, right? And I'm going to work through my whole paper pile slowly but surely to get everything organized. Now, I only started with one box. Why is that? Because I'm obviously going to need more than one box, but you want to keep your paper upright as you're sorting it, right? If you put a couple sheets of paper into a paper storage box, it's going to kind of slump down because there's nothing else to hold it up. So start sorting everything into one box, and as that box fills up, then you can divide and conquer. So then you can move to the next box, fill those two boxes, and then keep moving that back so that you are always staying in order, but you're not, your paper's always standing upright as you're sorting it as well. So you're going to work through your entire box or your entire pile of paper, and then you're going to go through those and organize and add the tabs and the dividers for the actual name. So when you look at this, so this is my camping section for my actual I waited until I was all done organizing everything and realized, yes, I do have enough camping paper that it should be its own theme or category, and I created that tab for camping so that I would have its own tab. Now, let's talk about storing your paper. Okay. Oh, that's probably I'm gonna knock that over. I know it. I know it. Let's put it up here where I'm not going to have to worry about it. All right. So let's talk about all the other kind of weirdness that happens with paper. First of all, you're going to have small papers like this, right? So this little theme of birthday paper, it's only 6 by 6, but when I put it in my paper storage box, I'm going to put it in there. It's going to be like this. Do I have a paper? I'm just going to show you how I'm going to do it. How about that? Oh, put it in this. So, if you're using paper storage boxes, it's better if you can turn them on their back so that you can pull the paper straight in and out, right? In order to do that, you have to have something on either end. So, especially if you're using cube storage, turning your paper storage boxes on their back is perfect. They are engineered to stand up this way. They have this, the design in the bottom is what gives them stability for standing up alone. So if you're putting them in on a shelf or in a cube on their back, they do need to have something else. But when I put my paper away, I can't do it backwards. My arms are not long enough. I'm going to put it in. And you can see I've got different kinds of labels, right? I've got sticky note labels. I've got a big label. So I'm going to use a major label for something that I have major paper for. So this is celebrate. So I have everything that's a celebration together. So it's anything that says party, might be graduation, might be wedding, anniversary, birthday, anything like that that's a celebration. I'm going to put those all together. I don't have a ton of it, so it's easy to combine. But I've got my small paper right there in the front. So when I'm looking for birthday papers, I don't have to look somewhere else for 6 by 6 or 8 by 8 paper, or forget that I have that little pad of 6 by 6 or 8 by 8 paper. It's just going to be right in with everything else. So don't be afraid to mix your paper together by size, because you want to be able to see everything. That's our goal. When you sit down to work on something for birthday, that you see everything that you've got for birthday, right? All right, so we're going to sort. We're going to divide. When it's all done, then we're going to label. Now, at this point, you have to decide what tools are best for me to organize my paper. Do I want to use paper storage boxes? Do I want to use a scrap rack? What am I going to do, right? The odds are you're going to have a mix of both things. So if you